The 15th Doctor is no more. Thank you, and shooting out. Hi, thank you for tuning into the Tom Bottelsen Show. Yeah, Doctor Who has ended, and Ncuti is the Doctor no more, and that is a shame. I thought he was a great Doctor Who. I really did. He now joins the ranks of Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy, that is Doctors 5, 6, and 7, as being a Doctor with only 2 seasons under their belt. And the speculation is rampant as to why he's gone after only 2 seasons, and there's speculation, and there's rumor. And he says, and Ncuti says, it was planned. It was not a shock. It was how it was supposed to go. And you know what? It isn't unusual at all, considering that as far as the Doctors go, where are my notes that, yeah, most of the Doctors were around for 2 to 3 years. Christopher Eccleston was the Doctor for 1 year. And then we have Jodie Whittaker, David Tennant, and Peter Capaldi were the Doctor for 3 years. The aforementioned Davidson, Baker, and McCoy Doctor for 2 years. And then we have David Tennant, who was the Doctor for 5 years. Then he's the Doctor for 3 episodes. And then we don't need to bring up Paul McGann, who was the Doctor for 1 movie. And then, of course, there was John Hurt and Joe Martin, who are the War Doctor and the Fugitive Doctor for 2 episodes and 5 episodes. 2 years is not an unusual mark for Ncuti to hand over the reins of the Doctor. And if I am his agent, I say absolutely 2 years only, because he really does have a certain quality to him that says he should be on a bigger screen. I think the camera loves him, to use an old phrase. The camera loves him in a room full of people, and he's there, you look to him. There are some people who have that camera ability when they're on screen that you look, who's that guy? I'm gonna watch that figure, I'm gonna watch that person. I think Ncuti has it. I do. And for 2 years, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought he was a great Doctor. I had a great time. No problem. The big baddie in this season, in the season finale, is renegade Time Lord and nemesis to the Doctor, the Ronnie. And the Ronnie is, I'm going to read this right off of Wikipedia, the Ronnie is an amoral biochemist who experiments on humans and other species, considers everything secondary to her research. The Ronnie first appears in The Mark of the Ronnie from 1985, contemporary to both the Doctor and the Master. They apparently all went to school together. Whatever Time Lord school that is, I don't remember that part. But they meet Mark of the Ronnie, in which Colin Baker, who's the 6th Doctor, back in 1985. Doctor Who, in its latest incarnations, now more than ever have really embraced diversity and change, and has done so like no other series other than Star Trek, or I should say along with Star Trek. You know, I'm the Doctor, I save people. What they look like, where they're from, the color of their skin, whether they're a man, they're a woman, they're really stretching some boundaries. It's really nice to see. I love that. I started watching Doctor Who when I was a kid. It was on PBS on Sunday mornings, and I gave up on it quickly, because it was Tom Baker who was the Doctor at the time, and as a kid I couldn't get into the grainy television picture of British television and the strange imagery. And for a kid, Doctor Who is scary if you're 9 years old, if you're 10 years old. That's a scary thing. But I couldn't really get into it, and because it wasn't the bright and shiny television Star Trek or Space 1999, and it wasn't the grand imagery of Star Wars upon the big screen, I left it. I left Doctor Who behind. It wasn't my thing, and I went through for years, and Doctor Who went all the way from 1963 to 1989, and then they took a break till 1996 with a movie, and then after the reboot in 2005 until currently, it started to get on people's radar, and some friends of mine said, you have to watch it. And this was when David Tennant was the Doctor, and that's when I started to watch it, and then I got caught up with Christopher Eccleston stuff through reruns. But it's good stuff. It is good stuff. It's great, fun science fiction, and it's one of those things that you don't have to concentrate too hard on because they're going to answer the question in something that's completely unfollowable because it is time travel. And they'll just say, well, it's a timey-wimey thing. That's how they solve everything in Doctor Who. They say, well, it's one of those timey-wimey things, which is why other doctors appear and not appear, which is why the Doctor's current incarnation is going to be Rose Tyler, played by Billie Piper, who was a former companion. Why the Doctor has chosen that face, we don't know. And for people who don't follow Doctor Who, the Doctor gets to be regenerated, and how the face comes about is never chosen. It's kind of a mystical thing, which is why Peter Capaldi's Doctor is a face from Peter Capaldi, the actor, was in Doctor Who, and then the Doctor chose that face. There's a whole episode of why he's chosen this face. Why the Doctor has chosen Rose Tyler, we don't know. But we're going to find that out and jump on board with that because that is a fan favorite. Billie Piper is beloved by all the Whovians, as far as I know, me included, and Rose Tyler, such a great companion to the Doctor. I was going to go and give a big long. I took my notes. I took notes on this season on every single episode, and I was going to recap that, and I'm not. If you're into Doctor Who, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not into Doctor Who, if you're one of the haters, please toss all that out. Please toss all that out. It's just good, fun science fiction, fantasy wonderfulness. It really is. Doctor Who is a big bag of let it all happen. Let it all go. And Ncuti Gatwa was a great doctor, and I've loved all the doctors before him. I've said it before, Peter Capaldi is my doctor. He's the one that I resonated the most with, probably because of my age. And I liked seeing the stuff that he went through, you know, and feeling that pressure and that weight on his face because Peter Capaldi is so expressive. But I've loved all of the doctors. I loved all of the portrayals. I loved Jodie Whittaker. I thought she did a great job. David Tennant coming back again. Great, love that. Love Matt Smith, love Christopher Eccleston. And of course, Tom Baker, who has the record for playing the Doctor, played him for 7 years, will forever be, in my mind, what the Doctor looks like with that big long scarf and the big floppy hat. That's what he looks like for me a lot of the time. But it's great. Yeah, the wrap up on this Doctor Who, it was fun. It was really fun and inventive and emotional. And Ncuti Gatwa's performance is really in depth, and he can cry at the drop of a hat. That's a good soap opera tactic here in the States. Is if you can cry, if you can just suddenly cry, and he does a lot, and he's moving and powerful. He's a good actor. He's really good at what he does. So please stay on board with Doctor Who. Keep watching it. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Billie Piper, the return of Rose Tyler, or at least Rose Tyler's face, and we'll see where they go from that. Yeah, Doctor Who. Becoming more and more of a fan than I ever have, especially since I was a kid. My goodness. Scary. Spooky. Love it. That's my quick review of Doctor Who and Ncuti Gatwa's last season. 2 seasons as the Doctor. Sorry to see him go. Best to his career and whatever he goes on from here, because like I said, he's got a face you want to watch. Like and subscribe if you like this content. Hit that notification bell so you know when my stuff drops. It drops on Sunday. Lots of stuff coming up, lots of games to be played, lots of fantasy to be discovered. I had a friend of mine ask me, he says, so you just do movies on your show? You just talk about movies? And I said, no, I talk about movies and television and games and books. I'm going to do another book review. Other things, anything from the nerd, sci-fi, fantasy realm, painting, all of it. All of the things that develop in my escapism nerddom. Thanks for coming on this journey. I really do appreciate you. And until I see you next time, as always, peace, love, live long and prosper. And I mean it.